Venus Williams. This video compresses information gathered from Wikipedia in video format. Studies prove that reading while listening improves comprehension, increases speed as well as expands vocabulary and enhances fluency. Video sections: abstract, early life, playing style, professional career, rivalries, fight for equal prize money, other on-court activities, personal life, recognition, equipment, awards, further reading, external links. Give your feedback on the comments section. Support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. Thanks. Abstract. Venus Ebony Star Williams, born June 17, 1980, is an American professional tennis player, a former world No. 1. Williams is generally regarded as one of the all-time greats of women's tennis and, along with younger sister Serena Williams, is credited with ushering in a new era of power and athleticism on the women's professional tennis tour. Williams has been ranked world No. 1 by the Women's Tennis Association on 3 occasions, for a total of 11 weeks. She first reached the No. 1 ranking on February 25, 2002, the first African-American woman to do so in the Open era, and the second all-time since Althea Gibson. Williams' 7 Grand Slam singles titles are tied for 12th on the all-time list, and 8th on the Open-era list, more than any other active female player except her sister. She has reached 16 Grand Slam finals, most recently at Wimbledon in 2017. She has also won 14 Grand Slam women's doubles titles, all with Serena Williams. The pair is unbeaten in Grand Slam doubles finals. Williams also has 2 mixed doubles titles. Her 5 Wimbledon singles titles tie her with 2 other women for 8th place on the all-time list, but give her sole possession of No. 4 on the Open-era list, trailing only the 9 titles of Martina Navratilova and the 7 of Serena Williams and Steffi Graf. From the 2000 Wimbledon Championships to the 2001 US Open, Williams won 4 of the 6 Grand Slam singles tournaments in that span. At the 2020 Australian Open, Williams extended her record as the all-time leader, male or female, in Grand Slams played, with 85. With her run to the 2017 Wimbledon singles final, she broke the record for longest time between first and most recent Grand Slam singles finals appearances. Williams was twice the season prize money leader in 2001 and 2017. Williams has won 4 Olympic gold medals, 1 in singles and 3 in women's doubles, along with a silver medal in mixed doubles, pulling even with Kathleen McCain-Godfrey for the most Olympic medals won by a male or female tennis player. She is the only tennis player to have won a medal at 4 Olympic Games. At the 2000 Sydney Olympics, Williams became only the second player to win Olympic gold medals in both singles and doubles at 1 Olympic Games, after Helen Wills Moody at the 1924 Summer Olympics, with 49 singles titles. Williams trails only her sister Serena Williams among active players on the WTA Tour with most singles titles. Her 35-match winning streak from the 2000 Wimbledon Championships to the 2000 Generally Ladies Linz tournament final is the longest since January 1, 2000. She is also one of only 2 active WTA players to have reached the finals of all 4 Grand Slams, along with sister Serena. Early life. Williams was born in Linwood, California, to Richard Williams and Oracene Price. Her talents were apparent at the age of 7 when a professional local tennis player named Tony Chester spotted Williams and quickly identified her potential in the sport. The Williams family moved from Compton, California, to West Palm Beach, Florida, when she was 10, so that she and her sister Serena could attend the tennis academy of Rick Macci, who took notice of the sisters and who would provide additional coaching. He did not always agree with Williams's father but respected that he treated his daughters like kids, allowed them to be little girls, Richard stopped sending his daughters to national junior tennis tournaments when Williams was 11, since he wanted them to take it slow and focus on schoolwork. Another motivation was racial, as he had allegedly heard parents of other players disparage the Williams sisters during tournaments. At that time, Williams held a 630 record on the United States Tennis Association Junior Tour and was ranked No. 1 among the under-12 players in Southern California. In 1995, Richard pulled his daughters out of Marchie's academy, and from then on took over all coaching at their home playing style. Williams is a very powerful baseliner who also has an attacking all-court game. Her game is well adapted to grass, where she feels most comfortable, which is reflected in her 5 Wimbledon singles titles. She has developed into a skillful volleyer who uses her long arm span, 1.85 meters, and agility around the net. Williams also has great court coverage and can hit winners from a defensive position. Williams holds the record for fastest serve in 3 of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments. 2007 French Open second round, 2008 Wimbledon final, 2007 US Open first round 129 miles per hour, 208 kilometers per hour. Professional career. Williams turned professional on October 31, 1994, at the age of 14. In the second round of her first professional tournament, the Bank of the West Classic in Oakland, Williams was up a set and a service break against world No. 2 Arantxa Sanchez Vicario before losing the match. No. 2 Arantxa Sanchez Vicario went on to win the title defeating Martina Navratilova. That was the only tournament Williams played in 1994. In 1995, Williams played 3 more events as a wildcard, falling in the first round of the tournament in Los Angeles and the tournament in Toronto but reaching the quarterfinals of the tournament in Oakland, defeating No. 18 Amy Frazier in the second round for her first win over a top 20 ranked player before losing to Magdalena Malieva. Williams played 5 events in 1996, falling in the first round 4 times but reaching the third round in Los Angeles, before losing to No. 1 Steffi Graf. Williams played 15 tour events in 1997, including 5 Tier 1 tournaments. She reached the quarterfinals in 3 of the Tier 1 events: the State Farm Evite Cup in Indian Wells, California, the European Indoor Championships in Zurich, and the Kremlin Cup in Moscow. In Indian Wells in March, Williams defeated No. 9 Eva Majoli in the third round for her first win over a player ranked in the top 10. She then lost in the quarterfinals to No. 8 Lindsay Davenport in a third-set tie-break. Her ranking broke into the top 100 on April 14, 1997. She made her debut in the main draw of a Grand Slam tournament at the French Open, reaching the second round before losing to Natalie Tauziet. She then lost in the first round of Wimbledon to Magdalena Grybowska. During her debut at the US Open, she lost the final to Martina Hingis after defeating Irina Splee in a semi-final which saw Splee and Williams collide during a changeover when neither would yield as they passed the umpire's chair. Richard Williams, her father, later claimed that this incident was racially motivated. She was the first woman since Pam Shriver in 1978 to reach a US Open singles final on her first attempt and was the first unseeded US Open women's singles finalist since 1958. On September 8, 1997, her ranking broke into the top 50 for the first time. She ended the year ranked No. 22. In her debut at the Australian Open, Williams defeated younger sister Serena Williams in the second round, which was the sisters' first professional meeting. Williams eventually lost in the quarterfinals to No. 3 Davenport. 3 weeks later, Williams defeated No. 2 Davenport for the first time in the semi-finals of the Eager Tennis Classic in Oklahoma City. Williams then defeated Joannette Kruger in the final to win the first singles title of her career. In her first Tier 1 event of the year, Williams lost in the semi-finals of the State Farm Evett Cup in Indian Wells to No. 1 Hingis. The following week, Williams won the Tier 1 Lipton International Players Championships in Key Biscayne, Florida, defeating No. 1 Hingis in the semi-finals. On March 30, 1998, her ranking broke into the top 10 for the first time. At No. 10, Williams played only one tournament on clay before the 1998 French Open. At the Italian Open in Rome, she defeated Sister in the quarterfinals and No. 5 Sanchez Vicario in the semi-finals before losing to No. 1 Hingis in the final. Williams lost again to Hingis in the quarterfinals of the French Open. Williams lost her first match at the Direct Line International Championships in Eastbourne on grass, before losing to No. 3 and eventual champion Jana Novotná in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. On July 27, 1998, her ranking rose to No. 5. Williams played 3 tournaments during the North American 1998 summer hardcourt season. She reached her 5th final of the year at the Bank of the West Classic in Stanford, California, defeating No. 6 Monica Seles in the semi-finals before losing to No. 1 Davenport. Patella tendinitis in her left knee caused her to retire from her quarterfinal match at their tournament in San Diego while trailing Mary Pierce 40 in the third set. At the U.S. Open, Williams defeated 4th-seeded Sanchez Vicario in the quarterfinals before losing to 2nd-seeded and eventual champion Davenport in the semi-finals. 1998 was the first year that Williams reached at least the quarterfinals of all slams. Williams played 4 tournaments in the remainder of 1998. She won her 3rd title of the year, the Grand Slam Cup in Munich in September, defeating No. 9 Patty Schneider in the final. She lost in the second round of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Filderstadt before losing in their final of the Tier 1 Swisscom Challenge in Zurich to No. 1 Davenport and the semi-finals of the Tier 1 Kremlin Cup in Moscow to Pierce. She had earned enough points during the year to participate in the year-ending Chase Championship, but withdrew from the tournament because of tendinitis in her knee. She finished the year ranked No. 5. In 1998, Williams teamed with Justin Gimelstob to win the mixed doubles titles at the Australian Open and the French Open. Her sister Serena Williams won the other 2 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles that year, completing a Williams family mixed doubles Grand Slam. Williams won the first 2 women's doubles titles of her career, in Oklahoma City and Zurich. Both titles came with her sister, becoming only the 3rd pair of sisters to win a WTA Tour doubles title. Williams started the 1999 tour in Australia, where she lost to No. 10 Steffi Graf in the quarterfinals of the Medibank International in Sydney and No. 1 Davenport in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. However, she rebounded at the Faber Grand Prix in Hanover, defeating Graf for the first time in the semi-finals before losing the final to No. 3 Novotná. Williams then successfully defended her titles in both Oklahoma City and Key Biscayne. She defeated Novotná and Graf to reach the final in Key Biscayne, where she defeated her sister in 3 sets in the first final on the WTA Tour to be contested by 2 sisters. Williams played 4 clay court events during the spring. She lost her first match at the Bausch & Lomb Championships in Amelia Island, Florida, 3 weeks later. However, she won her first title on clay at the Betty Barclay Cup in Hamburg, defeating Mary Pierce in the final. Williams then won the Tier 1 Italian Open in Rome, defeating No. 1 Hingis in the semi-finals and No. 8 Pierce in the final. At the French Open, she extended her winning streak to 22 matches before losing in the 4th round to No. 125 Barbara Schwartz. Williams teamed with Serena Williams to win the women's doubles title at this event, the first Grand Slam title the pair won together. At the 1999 Wimbledon Championships, Williams defeated No. 17 Anna Kournikova in the 4th round to reach the quarterfinals for the 2nd consecutive year. where she lost to eventual runner-up Graf. Williams rebounded in the summer when she won 2 Fed Cup matches against Italy and lost in their final of the Bank of the West Classic in Stamford to No. 1 Davenport. 1 week later, Williams defeated Davenport in the semi-finals of the TIG Tennis Classic in San Diego before losing to No. 2 Hingis in the final. In her last tournament before the US Open, Williams won the Pilot Pen Tennis in New Haven, Connecticut, defeating No. 5 Selish in the semi-finals and Davenport in the final. On August 30, 1999, her world ranking reached third for the first time. Seeded third at the US Open, Williams lost in the semi-finals to No. 1 Hingis in 3 sets. However, she teamed with singles champion Serena Williams at this event to win their second Grand Slam women's doubles title. During the remainder of the year, Williams contributed to the USA's victory over Russia in the Fed Cup final, winning 1 singles rubber before joining her sister to win the doubles rubber. At the Grand Slam Cup in Munich, Williams defeated Hingis in the semi-finals before losing to her sister Serena for the first time in the final. Williams won her 6th title of the year at the Tier 1 event in Zurich, defeating No. 1 Hingis in the final. 4 weeks later, she lost to Davenport in the semi-finals of the tournament in Philadelphia, making her debut at the year-ending Chase Championships. Williams lost to Hingis in the semi-finals. She finished the year ranked No. 3. In 2000, Williams missed the first 5 months of the year with tendinitis in both wrists. She returned to the tour during the European clay court season. She lost in the quarterfinals of the Betty Barclay Cup in Hamburg to Amanda Kurtzer and in their third round of the Tier 1 Italian Open in Rome to Jelena Docchi. Although she had won only 2 of her 4 matches before the French Open, she was seeded 4th there. She won her first 4 matches in Paris without losing a set before losing in the quarterfinals to 8th seeded and former champion Arantxa Sanchez Vicario in 3 sets. Williams then won 35 consecutive singles matches and 6 tournaments. She won her first Grand Slam singles title at Wimbledon, defeating No. 1 Martina Hingis in the quarterfinals, sister Serena in the semi-final and defending champion Lindsay Davenport in the final. She also teamed with her sister Serena to win the women's doubles title at this event. She won 3 Tier 2 events during the North American Summer Hard Court season, defeating Davenport in the final of the Bank of the West Classic in Stanford and Monica Seles in the finals of both the Acura Classic in San Diego and the Pilot Pen Tennis Championships in New Haven. At the US Open, Williams defeated No. 1 Hingis in the semi-finals and No. 2 Davenport in the final. At the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, she defeated Sanchez Vicario in the quarterfinals, Seles in the semi-finals, and Elena Dementieva in the final to win the gold medal. She also won the gold medal in women's doubles with her younger sister Serena. Davenport eventually snapped her winning streak in October in the final of the Linz Open. Williams did not play a tournament the rest of the year because of anemia. She finished the year ranked No. 3 and with 6 singles titles. In 2001, Williams reached the semi-finals of the Australian Open for the first time, where she lost to No. 1 Hingis. However, Williams teamed with her sister to win the doubles title at the event, completing a career Golden Slam in women's doubles for the pair. Williams also reached the semi-finals of the Tier 1 Tennis Master Series tournament in Indian Wells, California, where she controversially defaulted her match with her sister just before the match started. Williams had been suffering from knee tendinitis throughout the tournament and eventually this prevented her from playing. The following day, Williams and her father Richard were booed as they made their way to their seats to watch the final. Serena Williams was subsequently booed during the final with Kim Clijsters and during the trophy presentation. Due to this, neither Williams' sister entered the tournament for 14 years. with her sister Serena entering in 2015 after appeals for forgiveness from the event and the WTA Tour. Williams rebounded from the Indian Wells boycott controversy to win the next tournament on the tour calendar, the Tier 1 Ericsson Open in Key Biscayne, Florida. She defeated Hingis in the semi-finals and No. 4 Jennifer Capriati in the final, after saving 8 championship points. Because of this victory, her ranking rose to a career high of No. 2. During the European clay court season, Williams won the Tier 2 tournament in Hamburg but lost in the third round of the Tier 1 Eurocard Ladies German Open to No. 18 Justine Henin and the first round of the French Open to Barbara Schett. This was only the second time that she had lost in the first round of a Grand Slam singles tournament. Williams then successfully defended her Wimbledon title, defeating third-seeded Davenport in the semi-finals and eighth-seeded Henin in 3 sets in Henin's first Wimbledon final. During the North American summer hard-court season, Williams won for the second consecutive year the tournaments in San Diego, defeating Selish in the final, and in New Haven, defeating Davenport in the final. Williams also won the U.S. Open singles title for the second consecutive year, without dropping a set. In the quarterfinals, she beat fifth-seeded Clijsters, followed by a semi-final victory over No. 2 Capriati. She played her sister Serena in the final, which was the first Grand Slam singles final contested by two sisters during the Open era. Venus won the match and her fourth Grand Slam singles title. Williams also became only the sixth woman in history to win the singles titles at both Wimbledon and the US Open in consecutive years, the others being Martina Navratilova, twice, Steffi Graf, twice, Althea Gibson, Maureen Connolly-Brinker, and Helen Wills Moody, twice. Williams began 2002 by winning the Mondial Australian Women's Hard Courts in Gold Coast, Australia, defeating Henin in the final. However, she then lost for the first time in her career to Selish in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. Williams then went on to win the Open Gaz de France in Paris when Jelena Docky withdrew from their final, and the Proximus Diamond Games in Antwerp, Belgium, defeating Henin in the final. As a result of her strong start to the season, Williams assumed the World No. 1 position for the first time on February 25, dislodging Capriati. Williams was the first African-American woman ever to hold the ranking. She held it for just 3 weeks before surrendering it back to Capriati. Williams failed to defend her title in Miami after losing in the semi-finals to her sister Serena. However, she made a strong start to the clay court season, winning the Bausch & Lomb Championships in Amelia Island, Florida, defeating Henin in the final. A week after winning that tournament, she once again replaced Capriati as the No. 1, before losing it again to Capriati after 3 weeks. During those 3 weeks, Williams had made the final in Hamburg, defeating Hingis in the semi-finals before losing to Clijsters in the final. Seeded second at the French Open, Williams defeated former champion Selish to reach the semi-finals for the first time. There, she defeated Larissa Fernday. In the final, Williams met her sister Serena Williams for a second time in a Grand Slam final. With her sister winning, Williams once again replaced Capriati as the No. 1 as a result of reaching the final. As the top seed at Wimbledon, Williams defeated Henin in the semi-finals to make the final for the third consecutive year. However, there, she lost to her sister Serena. This result meant Serena Williams replaced Venus as the No. 1. The Williams sisters teamed up to win the women's doubles title at the event, their fifth Grand Slam women's doubles title together. Williams won the titles in San Diego and New Haven for the third consecutive year, defeating Davenport and Dokic to win the former and defeating Davenport in the final of the latter. At the US Open, Williams defeated Selish in the quarterfinals and Emily Mauresmo in 3 sets to make the final, playing her younger sister Serena for their third consecutive Grand Slam final. Her sister won once again. After that, Williams played just 4 more matches during the season. She reached the semi-finals at the year-ending Sanex Championships after defeating Selish in their quarter-finals, but she then was forced to retire against Clijsters due to injury. Williams finished the year ranked No. 2, having won 7 titles, her best showing in both respects of her career. Williams started 2003 by defeating 5th seed Justine Henin to make the final of the Australian Open for the first time. In the final, however, she lost to her sister Serena. This marked the first time in the Open era that the same 2 players had met in 4 consecutive Grand Slam finals. Venus and Serena Williams teamed to win the women's doubles title at the event, their 6th Grand Slam title in women's doubles. In February, Williams won the Proximus Diamond Games in Antwerp, Belgium for the 2nd consecutive year, defeating Kim Clijsters in the final. However, shortly afterwards, she began to struggle with injury. She reached the final of the clay court J&S Cup in Warsaw, before being forced to retire against Amelie Mauresmo. She then suffered her earliest exit at a Grand Slam tournament in 2 years when she lost in the 4th round of the French Open to Vera Zvonareva. At Wimbledon, Williams was seeded 4th. Williams defeated former champion Lindsay Davenport in the quarterfinals and Kim Clijsters in their semi-finals to advance to her 4th consecutive Wimbledon final, where she lost again to sister Serena. Wimbledon was Williams's last event of the year as an abdominal injury that occurred during the Clijsters match prevented her from playing again. While she was recovering from the injury, her sister Yetunde Price was murdered. Williams finished the year ranked No. 11. It was the first time in nearly 6 years that she had dropped out of the top 10. In 2004, Williams came back to the tour suffering inconsistent results. As the 3rd seed because of a protected ranking, she reached the 3rd round of the Australian Open, where she lost to Lisa Raymond. She then lost in the quarterfinals of her next 3 tournaments. Williams began to find her form at the beginning of the clay court season. At the Tier 1 Family Circle Cup in Charleston, South Carolina, Williams defeated Conchita Martinez in the final to win her first title in over a year and their 2nd Tier 1 title on clay of her career. She then won in Warsaw, defeating Svetlana Kuznetsova in the final, before reaching the final of the Tier 1 German Open in Berlin. She then withdrew from that match against Mauresmo due to injury. Going into the French Open, Williams had the best clay court record among the women and was among the favorites to win the title. However, after making the quarterfinals to extend her winning streak on the surface to 19 matches, she lost to eventual champion Anastasia Myskina. Despite her defeat, she re-entered the top 10. In the Wimbledon women's singles, Williams lost a controversial second-round match to Croatian Carolina Primosia. The umpire of the match, Ted Watts, awarded Prem an unearned point in the second set tie-break. Upon the conclusion of the match, he was relieved of his duties. This defeat marked the first time since 1997 that Williams had exited Wimbledon prior to the quarterfinals. After Wimbledon, Williams reached her 4th final of the year at the Bank of the West Classic in Stanford, California, where she was beaten by Lindsay Davenport for the first time since 2000. As the defending champion at the Athens Olympics, Williams lost in the 3rd round to Mary Pierce. She then won 3 very close matches against Petra Mandula, Shika Uberoy and Chanda Rubin to make the 4th round of the US Open, where she lost to Davenport, the first time she had ever lost at the US Open prior to the semi-finals. Williams completed the year by losing in the quarter-finals of 3 indoor tournaments in the fall, a period that included defeat in her first meeting with 17-year-old Wimbledon champion Maria Sharapova at the Zurich Open. Williams finished the year as No. 9 and did not qualify for the year-ending WTA Tour Championships. In 2005, Williams started the year by losing in the 4th round of the Australian Open to Alicia Molik. She then reached the final in Antwerp, defeating Clijsters and Myskina en route. In the final, Williams was a set in a service breakup against Mauresmo before eventually losing. In March, at the Nasdaq 100 Open in Miami, Williams defeated sister and Australian Open champion Serena Williams in the quarterfinals. The first time she had defeated her sister Serena since 2001. Williams went on to lose in the semi-finals to No. 3 Sharapova. In May, Williams won her first title in over a year at the clay courts at the Istanbul Cup, defeating Nicole Vidioff in the final. However, at the French Open, she lost in the third round to 15-year-old Cecile Karatancheva, who subsequently tested positive for steroids and was suspended. Williams was seeded 14th for the 2005 Wimbledon Championships women's singles. In the quarterfinals of the tournament, she defeated French Open runner-up Pearce in a second-set tiebreak, winning it 12-10 to make the semi-finals of a Grand Slam for the first time in 2 years. There, she defeated defending champion and second-seeded Maria Sharapova to make the Wimbledon final for the 5th time in 6 years. Playing top-seeded Davenport in the final, Williams saved a match point with a backhand winner en route to winning. This was Williams's third Wimbledon singles title, her 5th Grand Slam singles title overall and her first since 2001. It was the first time in 70 years that a player had won after being down match point during the women's final at Wimbledon. In addition, Williams was the lowest ranked, No. 16, and lowest seeded, 14th, champion in tournament history. Williams returned to the top 10 following the victory. Following Wimbledon, Williams reached her 4th final of the year in Stamford, where she lost to Clijsters. At the US Open, Williams achieved her 2nd consecutive win over her sister Serena in the 4th round, but then lost in the quarterfinals to eventual champion Kim Clijsters. Williams did not qualify for the year-ending Sony Ericsson Championships because of an injury sustained during the tournament in Beijing. She finished the year ranked No. 10. It was the first year since 2001 that she had finished a year ranked higher than her sister Serena Williams. In 2006, Williams was upset in the first round of the Australian Open by Svetlana Pironkova, which was her earliest loss ever at that tournament. After that loss, she did not play again for 3 months due to a wrist injury. She returned in late April on clay in Warsaw, where she defeated former No. 1 Martina Hingis in the second round, before losing to Svetlana Kuznetsova in the quarterfinals. Williams completed the clay court season by reaching the quarterfinals of the French Open, where she lost to Nicole Vidioff. Williams was the defending champion and one of the favorites to win the singles title at Wimbledon. However, she lost in the third round to 26th-seeded Jelena Jankovic. After the loss, Williams said that she was having pain in her left wrist, although she admitted that the injury was not the cause of her loss. Williams did not play in the US Open Series or the US Open itself due to the wrist injury. In October, during her first tournament in almost 3 months, she re-injured her wrist at the tournament in Luxembourg and lost in the second round to qualifier Agnieszka Radwaska. Williams finished the season as No. 46, her lowest finish since she began to play on the WTA Tour full-time in 1997. It was the second consecutive year she finished higher than her sister Serena, who finished the year in No. 95. Williams withdrew from the 2007 Australian Open, the second consecutive Grand Slam that she had missed due to her recurring wrist injury. She returned in February at the Cellular South Cup in Memphis, USA, defeating top-seeded Sharapova in the final, her first singles title since her victory at Wimbledon in 2005. At the beginning of the clay court season, Williams reached the semi-finals of the Tier 1 Family Circle Cup in Charleston, South Carolina, where she lost to Jelena Jankovic on a third-set tiebreak. She also lost to 4th-seed Jankovic in the third round of the French Open, her third consecutive loss to Jankovic. During her second round win over Ashley Harkleroad, Williams hit a 206 km/h 128 miles per hour. Serve, which was the second fastest women's serve ever recorded and the fastest ever recorded during the main draw match at the time. Williams was ranked No. 31 going into Wimbledon and was seeded 23rd at the tournament due to her previous results at Wimbledon. Williams was a game away from defeat in her first-round match against Alla Kudryavtseva, and in her third-round match against Akiko Morigami she was 2 points away from defeat. But she eventually won both 75 in the third set. She then advanced to reach her sixth Wimbledon final, after beating Maria Sharapova, Svetlana Kuznetsova and Anna Ivanovic in straight sets en route, where she defeated 18th seed Marion Bartoli also in straight sets. Williams thus became only the fourth woman in the Open era to win Wimbledon at least 4 times, along with Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova and Steffi Graf. She also became the lowest-seeded Wimbledon champion in history, breaking the record she herself set in 2005. Williams returned to the top 20 as a result of the win at the US Open, after setting a Grand Slam record 129 miles per hour, 208 kilometers per hour, serve in the opening round. Williams advanced to her first Grand Slam semi-final outside of Wimbledon since 2003. However, she then lost to eventual champion Justine Henin. The tournament resulted in Williams's ranking moving up to No. 9. Williams then won her third title of the year at the Hansel Korea Open Tennis Championships in Seoul, South Korea, defeating Maria Kirilenko in the final, before then losing in the final of the Japan Open Tennis Championships in Tokyo to Virginie Razzano. Williams had earned enough points during the year to qualify for the year-ending WTA Tour Championships in Madrid. However, she withdrew because of continuing problems with anemia. Williams finished the year as No. 8 with 3 titles, her best performance in both respects since 2002, and a winning percentage of 83%. In 2008, as the 8th seed at the Australian Open, Williams reached the quarter-finals for the first time since 2003. However, she then lost to eventual runner-up Anna Ivanovic. Williams made her first semi-final of the year at the Bangalore Open in Bangalore, India, where she met sister Serena for the first time since 2005, with Serena Williams winning despite Venus Williams holding a match point in the third set tie-break. Williams missed 2 tournaments at the beginning of the clay court season due to undisclosed medical problems at the French Open. Williams was seeded 8th but was eliminated by 26th-seeded Italian Flavia Pannetta in the third round. Williams was the defending champion and 7th-seeded player at Wimbledon, without dropping a set. She reached her 7th Wimbledon singles final. She then won her 5th Wimbledon singles title, and 7th Grand Slam singles title overall, by beating sister Serena in straight sets. This was the first time since 2003 that Venus and Serena Williams had played each other in a Grand Slam final, and was the first time since 2001 that Venus had defeated her in a Grand Slam final. Venus and Serena Williams then teamed to win the women's doubles title, their first Grand Slam doubles title together since 2003. Williams lost in the quarterfinals of the Beijing Olympics to Li Na. She did, however, earn a gold medal along with her sister Serena in women's doubles, their second gold medal as a team, having won together at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. At the US Open, Williams was playing some of her best tennis since dominating the circuit in 2003. However, she was defeated in 2 tiebreaks by Serena Williams, the eventual tournament winner, in a close quarter-final match, after Williams had led 53 in both sets. At the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart, Germany in October, Williams defeated a player ranked in the top 3 for the first time that season by defeating No. 3 Dinara Safina to reach her third semi-final of the year. There, she lost to Jankovic. A fortnight later, Williams won the Zurich Open, defeating Ivanovic in the semi-finals before defeating Pannetta in the final to claim her second Title of the year and secure a position in the year-ending 2008 WTA Tour Championships in Doha, Qatar. There, Williams defeated No. 2 Safina, No. 3 Serena Williams and No. 5 Dementieva in the preliminary round-robin stage. In the semi-finals, Williams defeated No. 1 Jankovic before winning the year-ending tournament for the first time by defeating Vera Zvonareva. In the final, she ended the year ranked No. 6 with 3 titles and a winning percentage of 78%. As the 6th seed at the 2009 Australian Open, Williams lost in the second round to Carla Perez Navarro after holding a match point in the third set. However, she teamed up with her sister Serena to win the women's doubles title at the event, their 8th Grand Slam doubles title together. Williams rebounded in singles play in February at the Premier 5, formerly Tier 1, Dubai Tennis Championships, defeating defending champion and No. 4 Dementieva in the quarterfinals and No. 1 Serena Williams in the semi-finals on a third-set tiebreak. The latter win meant that Williams led the head-to-head in career matches with her sister for the first time since 2002. Williams went on to defeat Virginie Razzano in the final. This win meant Williams was ranked in the top 5 for the first time since 2003. While it also marked her 40th professional singles title, only the 12th player in the Open era to achieve the feat. Williams won another title the following week at the Abierto Mexicano Telcel in Acapulco, Mexico, defeating Pennetta in the final. This was her first title on clay since 2005. On European clay, Williams reached the semi-finals in Rome before losing to No. 1 Safina. This run meant Williams was ranked in the top 3 for the first time since 2003. Seed in third at the French Open, Williams lost to Gnes Fay in the third round, the third consecutive year she had exited at that stage. Williams was seeded third at Wimbledon. She advanced to her 8th Wimbledon final, at which point she had won 34 straight sets, held since Wimbledon 2007. In the final, however, she lost the first set tiebreak, and from then on lost in 2 sets to sister Serena. The Williams sisters teamed up to win the doubles title at the tournament for the 4th time. In Stanford, Williams defeated Maria Sharapova and Elena Dementieva to advance to the finals, where she would lose to Marion Bartoli. Teaming with her sister, she played doubles and won the title, defeating Monica Niculescu and Youngjan Chan. At the 2009 US Open, as the 3rd seed, Williams made it to the 4th round before losing to Kim Clijsters in 3 sets. Williams then teamed up with Serena Williams to play doubles at the Open, where they won the title over defending champions and No. 1s in doubles, Cara Black and Liesl Huber, claiming their 3rd Grand Slam doubles title in 2009. Williams's last tournament in 2009 was the year-ending Sony Ericsson Championships, where she was the defending champion in singles. She was in the maroon group, which includes her sister Serena Williams, along with Elena Dementieva and Svetlana Kuznetsova. She lost her first match against Dementieva, and her second match against her sister Serena, both in straight sets, after taking the first set. In her third and final RR match, Williams defeated Svetlana Kuznetsova. Because of Dementieva's loss to Kuznetsova in their round-robin match, Williams advanced to the semi-final of the championships. In her semi-final match, she defeated Jelena Jankovic of Serbia to advance to her second consecutive final in the tournament. In the final, she lost to her sister Serena. In doubles, Williams teamed with her sister as the second seeds. However, they lost to Nuria Llagostera Vives and Mara Jos Martinez Sanchez in the semi-final. Their doubles record at the end of the year stood at 242. Williams finished 2009 ranked No. 6 in singles, with a winning percentage of 70%, and No. 3 in doubles with Serena Williams. In spite of them playing only 6 events together that year, Williams played at the Australian Open as the 6th seed. She defeated 17th-seeded Francesca Schiavone in the 4th round. She was 2 points from defeating 16th-seeded Liana in the quarterfinals before losing in 3 sets. In doubles, she teamed with her sister Serena to successfully defend their title, defeating the top-ranked team of Cara Black and Liesl Huber in the final. She went on to the clay at the Abierto Mexico Telcel in Acapulco, where she was the defending champion. She reached the semi-finals after recovering from a 15 third-set deficit to Laura Posti in their quarterfinals. In the final, she defeated first-time finalist Polona Hercog from Slovenia. This was her 43rd career title, the most among active female players. Her next tournament was the premier mandatory Sony Ericsson Open in Key Biscayne, where she was seeded in third. She defeated No. 9 Agnieszka Radwańska in the quarterfinals and No. 13 Marion Bartoli in the semi-finals to reach her third straight WTA Tour final and fourth Sony Ericsson Open final. She was defeated by Kim Clijsters in the final in just 58 minutes, ending her 15-match winning streak. By reaching the final, her ranking improved to No. 4 and she crossed the $26 million mark in career prize money, the only player besides Serena Williams to do so. The knee injury that hampered her during the final of the Sony Ericsson Open forced her to skip the Fed Cup tie against Russia and the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart. Williams returned to the tour at the Premier 5 Internazionale BNL d'Italia in Rome. She suffered the worst defeat of her career in the quarterfinals, losing to No. 4 Jelena Jankovic 60-61. Despite this loss, Williams's ranking improved to No. 3 on May 10. Her next tournament was the Madrid Open, a premier mandatory tournament. She lost to Aravane Reza in the final. In doubles, she teamed with her sister Serena to win the title. On May 17, her ranking improved to No. 2, behind only Serena. This was the fourth time that the Williams sisters have occupied the top 2 spots, and the first time since May 2003. Her next tournament was the French Open, where she played both singles and doubles despite her knee injury. Seeded second in singles, she advanced past the third round at this tournament for the first time since 2006 before losing to Nadia Petrova in the round of 16. She also played doubles with Serena as the top seeds. Their defeat of Huber and Annabelle Medina Garrigues in the semi-finals increased their doubles ranking to No. 1. They then defeated 12th-seeded Kata Peshki and Katerina Srebotnik in the final to win their fourth consecutive Grand Slam women's doubles title, by virtue of reaching the No. 1 ranking in doubles on June 7, 2010. Venus and Serena became just the 6th and 7th women to reach the No. 1 ranking in both singles and doubles, following in the footsteps of Martina Navratilova, Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, Martina Hingis, Lindsay Davenport, and Kim Clijsters. Her next tournament was the Wimbledon Championships, where she had reached the final the previous 3 years. Despite her knee injury, she made it to the quarterfinals, where she lost to Svetlana Pironkova. Pironkova was ranked No. 82 and had never gone past the second round of a Grand Slam event. As a result, Williams dropped to No. 4. She was the defending champion in doubles with her sister Serena, having won the tournament in the previous 2 years. However, they lost this time in the quarterfinals to Elena Vesnina and Vera Zvonareva. Williams then missed all tournaments in the US Open Series because of a left knee injury, but still participated at the US Open as the third seed. She won 3 matches to move into the fourth round. Williams became one of only 2 women in 2010, along with Caroline Wozniacki, to reach at least the fourth round at all 4 Grand Slam singles tournaments. Williams then defeated pair and French Open champion Schiavone en route to her 8th US Open semi-final. Against defending champion Clijsters, Williams won the first set of their match and recovered from 52 down in the second set, but ultimately double faulted on a key point near the end of the match and lost in 3 sets. Because of Serena's withdrawal from the US Open, Williams did not participate at the doubles event. where she was the defending champion. The recovery of her left knee took longer than expected and it forced her to miss the rest of 2010, including the year-ending Sony Ericsson Championships and Fed Cup final. Williams ended the year ranked 5th in singles, the first time she ended a year in the top 5 since 2002. While playing only 9 tournaments, she finished the year ranked 11th in doubles. Williams began the year at the final edition of Hong Kong Tennis Classic exhibition event. She lost both her singles matches against Vera Zvonareva and Lian A, but she helped Team America to win the silver group. At the Australian Open, Williams retired in the second game of her third-round match against Andrea Petkovic after sustaining a hip muscle injury in her second round. This was Williams's first retirement during a match in a Grand Slam tournament since 1994 and thus ended her record of most Grand Slam matches without ever retiring, with 250 consecutive matches. This was also her first retirement from a match since LA Women's Tennis Championships in Los Angeles in 2004, ending her 294 consecutive matches without retiring. The injury forced Williams to pull out of the Fed Cup quarter-final against Belgium, the Dubai Tennis Championships, and the Mexican Open, where she was the two-time defending champion in both tournaments. She subsequently withdrew from the Miami Open, causing her ranking to drop to number 15. She also missed the clay court season, which caused her ranking to drop to number 29. Her absence from the French Open marked the first Grand Slam tournament since the 2003 US Open, where neither of the Williams sisters were competing. Williams then made her first appearance since the Australian Open in Eastbourne. Unseeded, she lost for the first time in 11 meetings to Daniela Hintukova in the quarterfinals. She was seeded 23rd at the 2011 Wimbledon Championships. She played for nearly 3 hours in her second-round match against Japanese veteran Kimiko Date-Crum, winning in 3 tough sets. She then defeated Spaniard Mara Jos Martinez Sanchez in the third round, but was defeated by Bulgarian 32nd seed Svetlana Pironkova in the fourth round. Originally scheduled to participate in the 2011 Rogers Cup in Toronto and the 2011 Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati, Williams withdrew due to viral illness. Her next scheduled tournament was the US Open. Unseeded at the US Open, Williams defeated Vesna Dolence in the first round. She was scheduled to meet 22nd seed Sabine Lisicki in the second round, but withdrew before the match began after being diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome, an autoimmune disease which causes fatigue and muscle and joint pain. This was the first time in her career that she did not reach the quarterfinals or better in any of the Grand Slam tournaments in a season. As a result, her ranking dropped to 105. Williams did not play for the rest of the year at a competitive level. She appeared in 3 exhibitions tournaments in November and early December. She played against sister Serena in Colombia, which she won in straight sets. The week later, the sisters appeared in Milan, Italy to play exhibition against Italian duo Francesca Schiavone and Flavia Pannetta. Williams lost both her singles tie-break matches but won the doubles pairing with her sister. Williams played her third exhibition tournament in Barbados where she lost to Victoria Azarenka. She ended the year ranked No. 102. This was her first year-end finish ranked outside of the top 50 since 1997. Williams was scheduled to play in Auckland in preparation for the Australian Open, but withdrew from both tournaments due to health problems, announcing that she would return to the WTA Tour in February. This dropped her ranking to No. 135. In February, Williams returned to competition in the doubles match of the Fed Cup World Group 2 tie between USA and Belarus. Playing with Liesl Huber, she won the dead rubber in straight sets. Williams was granted wildcards to participate in the Miami and Charleston tournaments. In the first round of Miami, her first singles match since the 2011 US Open, Williams defeated Japanese veteran Kimiko Date-Crum in straight sets. In the second round, she defeated No. 3 Petra Kvitova, her first top 3 victory since beating Svetlana Kuznetsova in 2009. In the third round, she saved a match point and defeated Alexandra Wozniak in a 3-set tiebreaker that ended a nearly 3-hour match. In the round of 16, she bested No. 15 Anna Ivanovic in 3 sets to reach the quarterfinals, where she lost to the eventual champion, Agnieszka Radwańska, in straight sets. Her run improved her ranking to number 87. A week later in Charleston, she reached her second consecutive quarterfinal, where she lost in 3 sets to Samantha Stosur. Williams was granted wildcards to participate in Madrid and Rome. In Madrid, she lost in the second round to Angelique Kerber, but still improved her ranking to No. 63. A week later in Rome, she reached her third quarterfinal of the 4 tournaments she had participated in, with the straight sets victory against Samantha Stosur in the third round. She lost in the quarterfinals in straight sets to the No. 2. defending and eventual champion Maria Sharapova. Her appearance in Rome increased her ranking to No. 52, placing her as the third-ranked American. She lost in the second round of the French Open to Agnieszka Radwańska in straight sets. At Wimbledon, Williams was unseeded for the first time since 1997. She lost to Elena Vesnina in the first round in straight sets. This was the first time Williams lost in the first round of a Grand Slam since the 2006 Australian Open, and her first opening round loss at Wimbledon since her debut in 1997. Williams fared better in her return to doubles competition, where she played alongside her sister, Serena, in just the pair's first tournament since 2010 Wimbledon. The unseeded sisters advanced to the final with victories over fourth seeds Maria Kirilenko and Nadia Petrova in the second round, and top seeds Liesl Huber and Lisa Raymond in the semi-finals. The Williams sisters claimed their fifth Wimbledon doubles title after defeating sixth seeds Andrea Huavkov and Lucy Radek in straight sets in the final. On the same day, Serena Williams won her fifth Wimbledon singles title. Williams's next stop was the 2012 London Summer Olympics, which was held at the All England Club, Wimbledon. She entered the women's singles and women's doubles events, partnering with sister Serena in doubles. In singles, Williams defeated Sara Errani and Alexandra Wozniak in convincing fashion to reach the third round, where she faced Angelique Kerber. She lost to Kerber in 2 tiebreaks despite having 3 set points and leading 51 in the tiebreak. In the first set, in doubles, the unseeded Williams sisters advanced to the final, which was a repeat of their final at Wimbledon against Huavkov and Radek. The sisters won their third gold medal in doubles after defeating the Czech pair in straight sets. With the win, the Williams sisters claimed the most Olympic gold medals than any other tennis player, male or female. Next, Williams played at Cincinnati, where she received a singles wildcard entry. She defeated her first 2 opponents, Maria Kirilenko and Chanel Scheepers, in 3 tight sets before crushing 8th seed Sara Errani in the third round. In the quarterfinal, she defeated her second top 10 opponent in a row, Samantha Stosur, in 3 sets to advance to her first semi-final since the 2010 US Open. In the semi-final, Williams played through a back injury, eventually losing in 3 sets to Liane in a match where her average first serve was between 8,000 and 90 miles per hour. Her semi-final run brought her ranking back within the top 50 for the first time in almost a year. At the US Open, Williams lost in a second-round match against Angelique Kerber in 3 sets. Despite having a 42 lead in the third set, Williams won her 44th WTA career title and her first title in over 2.5 years at the 2012 BGL Luxembourg Open, where she defeated Monica Niculescu in straight sets. Williams also qualified for the WTA Tournament of Champions in Sofia, but withdrew as the tournament clashed with her and her sister Serena's Breaking the Mold tour. In Africa, with her title in Luxembourg, her ranking rose to number 24. She ended the year with this ranking. At the 2013 Hopman Cup, and playing for USA with John Isner, the first rubber was against South Africa. Williams beat Chanel Scheepers and, with John Isner, they comfortably defeated the South African pair Chanel Scheepers and Kevin Anderson. In USA's second rubber against France, she won both her singles and in mixed doubles defeated Jo Wilfried Tsonga and Mathilde Johansson. Next she faced Annabel Medina Garrigues of Spain and won in 2 sets. From there Williams went on to the Australian Open, seeded 25, after missing it the previous year due to injury. She beat Galina Voskobova and Alice Cornet before losing to the second seed, Maria Sharapova. Her next tournament was Brazil Tennis Cup. She participated the tournament as the first seed. She defeated Mirjana Liberoni in the first round, Gabi Muguruza in the second round and Magdalena Rybakova during the quarterfinals, reaching her first semi-final of the year. She was then defeated by Olga Puchkova in 3 sets. This tournament allowed Williams to strengthen her position in the top 20. She retired from the 2013 Sony Open Tennis in the third round due to a lower back injury. 1 week after Miami, Williams participated in Charleston as the 5th seed. She reached the semi-finals, after playing both her third round and quarterfinals matches on the same day, where she lost to her sister, Serena, in 2 sets in the sisters' first meeting since the 2009 WTA Tour Championships. A few weeks later, she participated in Fed Cup, in a tie between the United States and Sweden. After Sloane Stephens lost the opening match, Williams stepped into her spot, winning a match against Johanna Larsson, after converting on her 8th match point. This was the first time in Williams's career that she clinched the winning match in a Fed Cup tie, leading the United States to a 32 victory over Sweden. Williams's next event was the Matua Madrid Open, where she withdrew just before playing her first round match. Her next tournament was the Italian Open in Rome, where she lost in the first round to Laura Robson. Williams then played at the 2013 French Open, where she lost to Ursula Radvanska in the first round. She was also entered in doubles with her sister Serena but pulled out just before their first round match. Williams pulled out of the 2013 Wimbledon Championships due to a back injury. It was the first time she has missed Wimbledon in her career. At the Rogers Cup, she lost in the first round to 13th seed Kirsten Flipkens in 3 sets. At the 2013 Western and Southern Open, she defeated qualifier Jana Sipilova in straight sets, before losing in the second round to Elena Vesnina in 3 sets. Her next tournament was the 2013 US Open. She pulled an upset in the first round by defeating 12th seed Kirsten Flipkens in a rematch of the Rogers Cup first round. She was defeated by Zheng Ji in 3 sets. She entered the doubles with Serena Williams. They beat Carla Suarez Navarro and Silvia Sola Espinosa in the first round. In the second round, the duo beat the 7th-seeded team of Abigail Spears and Raquel Cops-Jones, and defeated the 11th-seeded team of Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova and Lucy Safarova in the third round. In the quarterfinals, they defeated the first-seeded team of Sara Errani and Roberta Vincili in a rematch of the Australian Open quarterfinals. Their run ended in the semi-finals against the 5th-seeded team and eventual champions Lucy Radecka and Andrea Lavikova. Her next tournament was the Tour Pan-Pacific Open. She defeated Mona Barthel in the first round, and upset the first-seeded No. 2 ranked Victoria Azarenka in the second round. In the third round, she came back from a set down to beat the 13th seed, Simona Halep, in 3 sets to make it to the quarterfinals of the Premier 5 event. In the quarterfinals, she defeated Canadian Eugenie Bouchard in 3 sets, but fell in the semi-finals to Petra Kvitova in another 3-set match. Williams subsequently played at the 2013 China Open in Beijing, where she played singles and doubles. Williams lost her second-round match in singles, losing to Sabine Lisicki, and she also lost her first-round match in doubles despite having 2 match points. Williams's last tournament of the season was the 2013 Kremlin Cup in Moscow, but she withdrew due to injury, bringing an end to her 2013 season. Williams started her official tennis season as No. 47 at the 2014 ASB Classic in Auckland, where she finished runner-up to Anna Ivanovic. She next participated, unseeded, at the 2014 Australian Open, where she lost in the first round to No. 23 Ekaterina Makarova in 3 sets. Moving on to Doha, Williams lost to No. 6 Petra Kvitova in the second round at the 2014 Qatar Total Open after failing to put away match point in the third set tie-break. Williams then entered the Dubai Tennis Championships, where she defeated 5 top 40 players to win her biggest title since the Matua Madrid Open in 2010, and, at 33 years and 8 months of age, became the 7th oldest woman to win a WTA singles title. En route, she avenged her loss to Anna Ivanovic in Auckland 62-61 and her sister Serena's loss to Alice Cornet in the semi-finals. Then won the title match the 63-60, keeping her head-to-head record perfect against Caroline Wozniacki. Williams then competed in Miami at the 2014 Sony Open Tennis and in Charleston at the 2014 Family Circle Cup, where she lost to Dominika Cibulka on hard and Eugenie Bouchard on clay, respectively, both in the round of 16 and both in 3 sets. At the 2014 Internazionale BNL d'Italia, Williams failed to force 3 sets in a loss for the first time that year, falling 46-26 to Carla Perez Navarro. At the 2014 French Open, Williams was upset by No. 56 Anna Karolina Schmidlove in 3 sets. Williams then lost in the third round of the 2014 Wimbledon Championships, 75-67, 57 to eventual champion Petra Kvitova in a classic and much-praised encounter that saw 34 holds of serve and only 2 breaks. Williams was the only player to take a set against Kvitova in the tournament. Williams played her first tournament of the 2014 US Open Series at the 2014 Bank of the West Classic, where she is a 2-time former champion. In the second round, she scored her first top 10 victory of the year and improved her head-to-head record against Victoria Azarenka to 40. In the quarterfinals, Williams lost to No. 18 Andrea Petkovic in 3 sets. At the 2014 Rogers Cup, Williams defeated No. 24 Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in 3 sets, scoring her first victory at that tournament on her 5th attempt. She defeated No. 7 Angelique Kerber in the third round in a 3-set thriller described by one of the commentators as quite simply one of the matches of the 2014 season so far on the WTA. Williams produced yet another upset in 3 sets against Carla Perez Navarro to advance to the semi-finals, where she defeated younger sister and No. 1 Serena Williams in the pair's 25th meeting. It was her 14th victory over a reigning No. 1 and her first since the 2009 Wimbledon Championships, when she defeated Dinara Safina 61-60 in the semi-finals. It was also the first time since 2009 that Williams had beaten her younger sister Serena. She lost the championship match 46-26 to No. 5 Agnieszka Radwańska. At her final tournament before the 2014 US Open, Williams lost in a tie 3-setter to No. 17 Lucy Afov in the first round at the 2014 Western and Southern Open. At the US Open, Williams made it to the third round for the first time since 2010 and was 2 points away, multiple times, from moving into the round of 16 before ultimately going down to 13th seeded Sara Errani for the first time in 4 meetings. Williams's next tournament was at the 2014 Coupe Banque Nationale in Quebec, where she received a wildcard as the No. 1 seed. She advanced to the quarterfinals in straight-set first and second round victories and was set to play Czech player Lucy Radek. She defeated Radek in a 2-hour, 13-minute match, winning 63-46, 76-3 in the semi-final. Williams beat fellow countrywoman Shelby Rogers in straight sets to progress to her fourth final of the year, where she lost to a resurgent Mirjana Liberoni in straight sets. Williams then played at the 2014 Wuhan Open, where she lost in the first round to Caroline Garcia despite having held a match point. Her final tournament of the year was at the 2014 China Open, where she won her first two matches before withdrawing before the third round. Williams ended the year ranked No. 19 in singles, the first finish since 2010 inside the top 20. Williams joined the Bangalore Raptors team in 2014 for the first edition of Champions Tennis League. India. Williams started off her season at the 2015 ASB Classic, where she won her 46th career singles title by defeating Caroline Wozniacki in 3 sets in their final. Then, at the Australian Open, Williams made it to the quarterfinals at a Grand Slam for the first time since the 2010 US Open. She defeated Camila Giorgi in the third round, having to recover from 46-24 and 0-4-0 down to reach the second week of a Grand Slam tournament for the first time since the 2011 Wimbledon Championships, and then overturned a 3-match losing streak to Agnieszka Radwańska, before losing to Madison Keys after being up a break in the deciding set. Williams had her 16-match winning streak at the Dubai Tennis Championships ended by Lucy Afov in the third round. Her next tournament was at the Qatar Total Open, where she saved a match point in a heated encounter versus Barbora Zławowska in the second round before defeating Agnieszka Radwańska for a second time in 2015 to advance to the semi-finals. She ended up losing in 3 sets to Victoria Azarenka. Williams competed at the Miami Open, where she won against Samantha Stosur in the third round and Caroline Wozniacki in the fourth round. In the quarterfinals, she was defeated by Carla Suarez Navarro in 3 sets. Williams began her clay court season at the Madrid Open, where she lost in the first round to Victoria Azarenka in straight sets. She made it to the third round of the Italian Open before losing to Simona Halep. Williams failed to win her opening match at the 2015 French Open, where she lost in straight sets to American Sloane Stephens. She did not attend her mandatory post-match press conference and was subsequently fined $3,000. Williams then played at Wimbledon, winning her first 3 rounds in straight sets. She then lost to her sister, Serena, in the fourth round in straight sets. Williams then played at the Istanbul Cup, where she lost in the first round to qualifier Katerina Bondarenko. Williams began her US Open series at the Rogers Cup, where she was a finalist last year. She lost in the first round, 60-63 to Sabine Lisicki. Her loss pushed her outside of the top 20. Her next tournament was at the Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati. She made it to the second round and was set to play Anna Ivanovic before she withdrew due to a virus. She was seeded 23rd for the US Open and played Monica Puig in the first round. She led 64-53 and held 3 match points, but lost the second set. She won the match 64-67-63. In the second round, she overcame 2 costly double faults in the second set to defeat fellow American Irina Falconi 63-67-62. She defeated 12th seed Belinda Bencic and qualifier Anna Kontaveit in straight sets in the third and fourth rounds, respectively. Williams played her sister, Serena Williams, in the quarterfinals in their 5th meeting at the US Open and their 27th meeting overall. Williams lost the match in 3 sets. Williams scored her 5th top 10 win of the season by defeating No. 7 Agnieszka Radwańska in the first round of the Wuhan Open. She then beat qualifier Julia Giarges in the second round for her 700th career win. She landed another top 10 victory by winning against No. 10 Carla Suarez Navarro in the third round. Williams defeated both Johanna Konta and Roberta Vinci, saving match point in 3 sets to move into the championship match, where she won her biggest title in more than 5 years when her opponent, No. 8 Gabi Muguruza retired while trailing a set in a double break. The next week Williams lost to Ana Ivanovic in the second round of the China Open. She made it to the semi-finals of the Hong Kong Open where she lost in a tight two-setter to eventual champion Jelena Jankovic. With her results throughout the season, Williams became an alternate for the WTA Finals in Singapore. Additionally, she qualified for the WTA Elite Trophy in Zhuhai where she is the number 1 seed. She defeated Madison Keys in her first round-robin match in 3 sets. 36, 76, 61. In her second round-robin match she defeated wildcard Zheng Xiaosai 46, 61, 61 to advance to the semi-finals, where she defeated Roberta Vinci for a 5th consecutive time. Williams captured the first WTA Elite Trophy, her 3rd WTA title of the season and 48th title of her career by defeating Karolina Pielkov 75-76 in the final. She re-entered the top 10 for the first time since 2011 and ended the year at No. 7 in the WTA rankings. Williams was the 10th most popular player of the year according to the WTA's website and received the WTA Comeback Player of the Year award. Williams began 2016 by playing at the World Tennis Thailand Championship, an exhibition event in Thailand where she lost to Sara Errani and Angelique Kerber. She then entered the ASB Classic, where she was the No. 1 seed and defending champion, and lost in the first round to 18-year-old Daria Kasatkina. At the Australian Open, Williams, seeded 8th, lost to Johanna Konta in the first round. Afterwards, she helped the USA Fed Cup team to a 40 victory over Poland, winning both of her singles matches. Williams's next tournament was at the Taiwan Open, where she was the No. 1 seed. She defeated Misaki Doi in the final, earning her 49th career title. Williams returned to Indian Wells for the first time in 15 years after boycotting the tournament in 2001, but lost in the second round to Kurumi Nara. The following week, she was knocked out in the second round of the Miami Open by qualifier Elena Vesdina. Both results marked her worst exits at Indian Wells and Miami in her 23-year career. She began a clay court season with a win over Alison Riske at the Charleston Open, before losing to Yulia Putintseva in the third round in 3 tight sets. Williams was scheduled to begin her clay court season at the Madrid Open but withdrew due to a hamstring injury. The following week, she lost in the second round in Rome. Seeded 9th at the French Open, Williams won her first 2 rounds in straight sets to set up a third-round clash with Alizé Cornet, whom she defeated in 3 sets to reach the 4th round for the first time since 2010. She recorded the 200th loss of her career against 8th-seeded Timea Bacsinszky, who won in straight sets. However, her result pushed her back into the top 10 for the first time since her loss at the Australian Open. She also won her first Grand Slam doubles match with sister Serena Williams since the 2014 US Open. At the Wimbledon Championships, Williams reached the third round of the championships where she overcame the 29th seed Daria Kasatkina. In a 2-hour, 42-minute marathon, she defeated 12th seed Carla Suarez Navarro in the 4th round, and now leads 4-3 in their head-to-head meetings. Williams advanced to the quarterfinals for the first time in 6 years, where she defeated Yaroslava Shvedova in her first Grand Slam semi-final since the 2010 US Open and her first Wimbledon semi-final since 2009. She lost to 4th seed Angelique Kerber in straight sets. In the doubles tournament, Venus and Serena Williams advanced to their first Grand Slam doubles final since 2012. They then won their 14th major title together and 6th at Wimbledon. Williams began her US Open series at the Stanford Classic, where she was the No. 1 seed. She defeated Magdalenette in the second round and compatriots Catherine Bellis and Alison Riske in the quarterfinals and semifinals respectively to reach her 8th final in Stanford. She lost to Johanna Konta 57, 75-26. By virtue of her result, Williams ascended to No. 6 in the rankings, her highest position since being diagnosed with Sjogren syndrome in 2011. Williams then entered the Rogers Cup, having received a bye in the first round. Williams won her second round match against Barbora Strycova in straight sets. She fell to Madison Keys in the third round in 3 sets. Williams failed to medal in her singles and doubles events at the 2016 Rio Summer Olympics, falling in the first round in both events, marking her worst exits of her Olympic career. She entered the mixed doubles event with Rajiv Ram, defeating the Netherlands in the first round after saving match point. The pair then defeated Italy in the quarterfinals and India in the semi-finals to set up a clash with the United States team of Bethany Mattek-Sands and Jack Sock in the gold medal match. The duo lost to Mattek-Sands and Sock 76-16. By winning a silver medal, Williams became the only female player, besides Kathleen McCain-Godfrey, to win a medal in all 3 events: singles, doubles and mixed. Her 5 medals mean she now shares the record for most Olympic medals won in tennis with Godfrey. At the US Open, Williams broke the record for the most Grand Slam appearances, surpassing Amy Frazier's record of 71. This is also the first time that she's been seeded in the top 10 at all 4 Grand Slam tournaments this year, having last achieved this in 2010. She won her first 3 round matches respectively against Katerina Kozlova, Julia Giarges and the 26th seed Laura Siegemund. She lost in the 4th round to 10th seed Karolina Pielkova after failing to convert match point. In September 2016, in response to WADA database leak, Williams confirmed the usage of banned substances classified by WADA as therapeutic use exemptions Tuesday, stating, "The applications for Tuesday under the tennis anti-doping program require a strict process for approval which I have adhered to when serious medical conditions have occurred." Williams failed to defend her title in Wuhan, falling in the 3rd round to 9th seed Svetlana Kuznetsova. This pushed her outside of the top 10 for a second time this year. The following week she was bundled out of the China Open in the first round by No. 223 ranked Peng Shuai. Williams qualified for the WTA Elite Trophy, where she was the defending champion. However, she decided not to participate. She finished the year ranked No. 17. Williams began her 2017 season at the ASB Classic, winning her opening match against local wildcard Jade Lewis before withdrawing due to a right arm pain. Seeded 13th at the Australian Open, Williams defeated Katerina Kozlova, qualifier Stephanie Vietagel, Duan Yingying and qualifier Mona Barthel in the opening 4 rounds respectively in straight sets, to advance to the quarterfinals. She defeated 24th seed Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova for her 50th win at the Australian Open, the first time Williams won a quarterfinal match in Melbourne since defeating Daniela Hantuchova in 2003. Coming back from a set-down in her semi-final match, Williams defeated rising American star Coco Vandeweghe 67-62-63 to advance to her first Grand Slam final since Wimbledon 2009 and her first Australian Open final since 2003. In doing so, she set the Open-era record for the longest span, 20 years, between Grand Slam singles final appearances, having first reached a Grand Slam singles final at the 1997 US Open. In a closely fought final, she lost 64-64 to her younger sister Serena Williams, who made history by winning her 23rd Grand Slam singles title, surpassing the mark set by Steffi Graf. The following week, Williams competed in the St. Petersburg Ladies Trophy, but lost in the second round to eventual champion Kristina Mladenovic. At the Indian Wells Masters, Williams came back from 16-14 down and saved 3 match points in the second round to defeat Jelena Jankovic, tying their head-to-head record at 7-all. This was her first win at Indian Wells since 2001. She defeated Lucy Safarova and qualifier Peng Shuai in the third and fourth rounds respectively, avenging her previous losses to both players. She lost to the eventual champion, Elena Vesnina, in the quarterfinals. The following week, Williams scored her first top 10 win since 2015, against Svetlana Kuznetsova in the fourth round of the Miami Open. She defeated No. 1 Angelique Kerber in the quarterfinals, becoming the oldest player to beat a current No. 1. She lost for a third consecutive time to eventual champion Johanna Konta in straight sets in her first semi-final in Miami since 2010. This marked her fourth consecutive loss to eventual champions. The following week, after receiving a bye, Williams lost to eventual semi-finalist Laura Siegemund in the Volvo Car Open, having saved match point in the second set. Williams forced 2 match points in the third set, but Siegemund saved both. After the match, Williams said, "This could be the best match she'll ever play in her life. I basically won the match but still lost." Williams withdrew from the Madrid Open after an injury to her right arm this year. She made her European clay court debut at the Italian Open where she defeated Yaroslava Shvedova and Lesia Suhurenko in straight sets. She defeated No. 6 Johanna Konta in the third round, but lost in her first quarterfinal in Rome since 2012 to Gabi Muguruza in 3 sets. During this match, Williams hit a reactionary lob-off an attacking forehand that was voted WTA Shot of the Month. Williams defeated Qiang Wang, Karumi Nara and Elise Mertens in the first 3 rounds of the French Open before again losing to Pachensky in the fourth round, this time in 3 sets. Williams entered Wimbledon as the number 10 seed. She defeated Elise Mertens, Qiang Wang, Naomi Osaka and Anna Konjuh to reach the quarterfinals for the 13th time in her career, where she defeated the 2017 French Open champion Yelena Ostapenko in straight sets. This was also her 100th career match at Wimbledon. She advanced to her 9th Wimbledon final by defeating Johanna Konta in straight sets in their semi-finals. This marked her 87th win at Wimbledon, the third most on the all-time list. This also marked the first season since 2003 that Williams reached 2 Slam finals. Williams lost the final in straight sets to Gabi Muguruza. She gained the No. 9 ranking by reaching the final, her second appearance in the top 10 in 2017. She had briefly returned to the top 10 in 2017 by virtue of beating Angelique Kerber in Miami. Williams began her play in the U.S. Open Series at the Canadian Open. She defeated qualifier Irina Camelia Begu in 3 sets and Katina Siniakov in straight sets, before losing to 5th seed and eventual champion Alina Svitolina in the third round. The next week Williams competed in the Cincinnati Masters tournament. She defeated Alison Riske in the first round before losing to Ashley Barty in the second round. Barty was the first person to have defeated Williams and failed to reach at least the semi-finals of the event in which they had defeated her in 2017. At the 2017 US Open, Williams defeated Victoria Kumov, Okane Dodon, and Maria Sakkari to reach the fourth round. Williams reached the second week of all Grand Slams in a single season for the first time since 2010, and reached the second week of 7 consecutive Grand Slams, the longest streak among WTA players at that time. In the fourth round, Williams beat Carla Perez Navarro in 3 sets to reach her 12th US Open quarterfinal, where she defeated Petra Kvitova in a third-set tiebreak during the 2-hour, 35-minute match. She also guaranteed her return to the top 5 in the WTA rankings at the conclusion of the tournament for the first time since January 2011. Williams then lost in 3 sets to fellow American and eventual champion Sloane Stephens in her first US Open semi-final since 2010. On September the 26th, Williams qualified for the WTA Finals for the first time since 2010. In her first tournament after the US Open, Williams defeated Riza Ozaki in the first round of the Hong Kong Open, before falling to Naomi Osaka. At the WTA Finals, Williams was placed in the white group with Karolina Pliskova, Gabi Muguruza and Yelena Ostapenko. After losing her first match to Pliskova in straight sets, Williams defeated Ostapenko in a marathon match lasting almost 3.5 hours. She defeated Muguruza in straight sets to progress to the semi-finals, avenging her loss to the Spaniard in the Wimbledon final. Williams then defeated Caroline Garcia in 3 sets to advance to her first final at the year-end championships since 2009, where she finished runner-up to sister Serena Williams. She met Caroline Wozniacki in the final, where she found herself down a set and 0-5. Despite winning the next 4 games, she lost the match, 46-46. She finished the year ranked number 5 and topped the prize money list for this year. Williams began her 2018 season at the Sydney International, where she was the 2nd seed and received a first-round bye. In the second round she lost to German woman Angelique Kerber, who went on to win the tournament. As the 5th seed and defending finalist at the Australian Open, Williams lost in straight sets to Belinda Bencic in the first round, ending her streak of 7 consecutive appearances in the second week of the Grand Slams, and as a result dropping considerably in the rankings as well. Williams competed in the Fed Cup quarterfinals against the Netherlands. She won both her singles matches in straight sets against Arantxa Rus and Rachel Hogenkamp to send the United States into the semi-finals. She also played her career 1,000th match and earned her 20th Fed Cup singles win. After receiving a first-round bye at the Indian Wells Masters, Williams defeated Sorana Cirstea to set up a match with her sister Serena. In the third round, she defeated her for the 12th time in her career, her first straight sets victory against her since the 2008 Wimbledon Championships final almost a decade earlier. She then defeated Anastasia Sevastova in the 4th round and Carla Suarez Navarro in their quarterfinals, both in straight sets. She then fell to Daria Kasatkina in a close 3-set match in the semi-finals. The following week at the Miami Open, Williams saved 3 match points in her third-round match against Dutch woman Kiki Bertens. She subsequently knocked out defending champion Englishwoman Johanna Konta in the 4th round, before falling rather unexpectedly to her compatriot and qualifier Danielle Collins in their quarterfinals. Williams began her clay court season at the Madrid Open, where she lost to Anett Kontaveit in their first round. Seeded 8th at the Italian Open, she received a first-round bye, before defeating Elena Vesnina in 3 sets. She lost to Kontaveit again in the third round. Williams also played doubles with compatriot Madison Keys, but the team withdrew after winning their first-round match with Keys sustaining an injury. Williams lost to Qiang Wang in the first round of the French Open, marking the first time she has lost in the first round of consecutive Grand Slam events. Williams also reached the third round in doubles with Serena, losing to third seeds Klepak and Martinez Sanchez, the defending finalist at the Wimbledon. Williams defeated Johanna Larsson and Alexandra Dolgero in the first and second rounds respectively, before losing to Kiki Bertens in the third round. As a result, she dropped out of the top 10 rankings. Williams began her U.S. Open series at the Silicon Valley Classic after accepting a wild card, defeating Heather Watson in the second round, before losing in the quarterfinals to eventual finalist Maria Sakkari. She won her opening 2 rounds at the Rogers Cup before losing 62-62 to the then world number 1 Romanian woman Simona Halep, hampered by a right knee injury. She withdrew from the Western and Southern Open the following week with the same injury. At the US Open, Williams defeated 2004 champions Svetlana Kuznetsova and Kamila Georgi en route to a third-round encounter and 30th career match overall with Serena, where she was handed her most lopsided loss against her in 5 years. Following the US Open, Venus withdrew from the Wuhan Open and China Open, citing she was not physically ready to compete. She was scheduled to finish her season at the Luxembourg Open. but pulled out due to a knee injury. She finished the season ranked No. 40. The first time since 2013 she failed to finish the season inside the top 20. Williams parted ways with her longtime coach David Witt at the end of the 2018 season. Williams began her 2019 season with an exhibition match against Serena at the Mubadala World Tennis Championship, which she won 108 in the match tie-break. Williams then played in the ASB Classic in Auckland, where she was seeded 6th. She defeated Victoria Azarenka and Lauren Davis, before losing in the quarterfinals to Bianca Andreescu in 3 sets. Unseeded at the Australian Open, Williams defeated Mihaela Buzanescu and French woman Alice Cornet, both in 3 sets, to set up a meeting with the top-seeded Simona Halep in the third round. Williams lost to Halep 26-36, ranked 36th and unseeded at the Indian Wells. Williams started with a win over Andrea Petkovic, before coming back from a set and a double breakdown to beat the third seed Petra Kvitova in their second round. This was Williams' first top 5 win since the 2017 WTA Finals. She then defeated Christina McHale and Mona Barthel to advance to her third straight Indian Wells quarterfinal, where she lost to the 8th seed and eventual runner-up Angelique Kerber, ranked 43rd as she entered the Miami Open. Williams beat Dalila Jakupovi, Spanish woman Carla Suarez Navarro and Daria Kasatkina, all in straight sets, before falling again to third-ranked Simona Halep in the fourth round. Williams started her clay court season as a wildcard at the Italian Open. She defeated Belgian woman Elise Mertens in a third-set tie-break, after 3 hours of play, to set up a second-round match with her sister Serena, due to a left knee injury. However, Serena was forced to withdraw from the match. Williams then fell to eventual runner-up Johanna Konta in the third round in straight sets. She subsequently fell to the ninth seed, Elina Svitolina, in the French Open first round, her second year in a row failing to win a match at the French Open, for the first time since 2011 and fourth time in her career. Williams played a Wimbledon warm-up event after accepting a wildcard into the Nature Valley Classic. She defeated Alexandra Sasnovich in the first round to set up her meeting with Wang Qiang, which Williams also won to reach the quarterfinals, where she lost to eventual champion and new world number 1 Australian Ashley Barty. However, thanks to this run, Williams returned to the top 50 in the rankings. She also accepted a wildcard to play doubles with Harriet Dart, losing in the first round in a match tie-break. At Wimbledon, Williams, whilst unseeded, faced compatriot Coco Gauff, a 15-year-old qualifier, the youngest qualifier in the history of the event. Gauff stunned Williams in a tight 2-set match, 64-64. The loss match 2012 as her earliest Wimbledon exit. Williams also entered the mixed doubles with Frances Tiafoe and they lost in the second round. Williams fell in the first round of the Silicon Valley Classic and the Rogers Cup to Bethany Matek Sands and Carla Suarez Navarro, respectively. At the Western and Southern Open, Williams ended her 4-match losing streak with a straight sets victory over compatriot Lauren Davis before defeating defending champion and 5th seed Kiki Bertens in a third-set tie-break. Williams then came back from a set down against Donna Vekic to advance to her 4th quarterfinal of 2019, where she fell to eventual champion Madison Keys. Williams next played at the US Open where she lost just 1 game against Zheng Xiaosai before falling to eventual semi-finalist Elina Svitolina in the second round. Williams accepted a wild card to play the Wuhan Open, where she lost in the first round to Danielle Collins. Next, Williams defeated Barbora Strycova in the first round of the China Open before losing to Belinda Bencic after having 2 match points. Williams' season ended with a first-round loss to eventual champion Rebecca Peterson at the Tianjin Open. Williams was scheduled to start her 2020 season at the Brisbane International but withdrew before the tournament began. She also had to withdraw from the Adelaide International. At the Australian Open, Williams was beaten by Coco Gauff in the first round. At the Mexican Open, where she was the fifth seed, Williams was beaten by qualifier Cairo. Rivalries. Williams has played younger sister Serena in 30 professional matches since 1998. Overall, Venus has won 12 of those matches and Serena Williams has won 18. They have met in 15 Grand Slam tournaments, with Venus Williams winning 5 matches to her sister Serena's 10. They have met in 9 Grand Slam tournament finals, with Venus winning twice. Of the 6 occasions where they met in an earlier round, the victor has gone on to win the championship 4 times. Venus once. In the 2000 Wimbledon Championships, beginning with the 2002 French Open, they played each other in 4 consecutive Grand Slam singles finals, which was the first time in the Open era that the same 2 players had contested 4 consecutive major finals. Williams and Hingis met 21 times during their careers. The overall head-to-head series is 11-10 in Hingis' favor. Their rivalry is one of the best in women's sports and has been called a rivalry for the ages. The pair met in the 1997 US Open final during Williams's debut. Hingis won the match in straight sets. Davenport leads the rivalry 14-13 in their 27 professional matches. Williams leads 30 in Grand Slam finals. The most noteworthy match they played was the 2005 Wimbledon Championships, which broke the record for the longest Wimbledon women's final. Williams won the match and also saved a match point, which makes her only the second woman in the Open era to save a match point and go on to win a major final. Fight for equal prize money. Despite years of protesting by tennis pioneer Billie Jean King and others, in 2005 the French Open and Wimbledon still refused to pay women's and men's players equally through all rounds. In 2005, Williams met with officials from both tournaments, arguing that female tennis players should be paid as much as male tennis players. Although WTA Tour President Larry Scott commented that she left a very meaningful impression, Williams's demands were rejected. The turning point was an essay published in The Times on the eve of Wimbledon in 2006. In it, Williams accused Wimbledon of being on the wrong side of history, writing, "I feel so strongly that Wimbledon's stance devalues the principle of meritocracy and diminishes the years of hard work that women on the tour have put into becoming professional tennis players. I believe that athletes, especially female athletes in the world's leading sport for women, should serve as role models. The message I like to convey to women and girls across the globe is that there is no glass ceiling. My fear is that Wimbledon is loudly and clearly sending the opposite message. Wimbledon has argued that women's tennis is worthless for a variety of reasons. It says, for example, that because men play a best-of-5 sets game they work harder for their prize money. This argument just doesn't make sense. First of all, women players would be happy to play 5 sets matches in Grand Slam tournaments. Secondly, tennis is unique in the world of professional sports. No other sport has men and women competing for a Grand Slam championship on the same stage at the same time. So in the eyes of the general public, the men's and women's games have the same value. Third, we enjoy huge and equal celebrity and are paid for the value we deliver to broadcasters and spectators, not the amount of time we spend on the stage. And, for the record, the ladies' final at Wimbledon in 2005 lasted 45 minutes longer than the men's. Wimbledon has justified treating women as second class because we do more for the tournament. The argument goes that the top women, who are more likely also to play doubles matches than their male peers, earn more than the top men if you count singles, doubles and mixed doubles prize money. So the more we support the tournament, the more unequally we should be treated. But doubles and mixed doubles are separate events from the singles competition. Is Wimbledon suggesting that, if the top women withdrew from the doubles events, that then we would deserve equal prize money in singles? And how then does the All England Club explain why the pot of women's doubles prize money is nearly 130,000 smaller than the men's doubles prize money? I intend to keep doing everything I can until Billie Jean's original dream of equality is made real. It's a shame that the name of the greatest tournament in tennis, an event that should be a positive symbol for the sport, is tarnished. In response, British Prime Minister Tony Blair and members of Parliament publicly endorsed Williams's arguments. Later that year, the Women's Tennis Association and UNESCO teamed for a campaign to promote gender equality in sports, asking Williams to lead the campaign. Under enormous pressure, Wimbledon announced in February 2007 that it would award equal prize money to all competitors in all rounds, and the French Open followed suit a day later. In the aftermath, the Chicago Sun-Times cited Williams as the single factor that changed the minds of the boys, and a leader whose willingness to take a public stand separates her not only from most of her female peers, but also from our most celebrated male athletes. Williams herself commented, "Somewhere in the world a little girl is dreaming of holding a giant trophy in her hands and being viewed as an equal to boys who have similar dreams." Williams herself became the first woman to benefit from the equalization of prize money at Wimbledon, as she won the 2007 tournament and was awarded the same amount as the male winner Roger Federer. Williams's fight for equality was documented in 9 for IX. Venus vs. It premiered on July 2, 2013. Other on-court activities. Williams competed in a battle of the sexes, along with her sister Serena Williams, against Kirsten Brasher at the 1998 Australian Open, who at the time was ranked 203rd, a decade and a half younger than Brasher, who was described by one journalist as a man whose training regime centered around a pack of cigarettes and more than a couple bottles of ice-cold lager. He nonetheless defeated both sisters, playing a single set against each, beating Serena Williams 61 and Venus Williams 62. Brasher said afterwards, 500 and above, no chance. He added that he had played like someone ranked 600th in order to keep the game fun. Personal life. In 2003, at age 31, Yetunde Price, Venus and Serena Williams' older half-sister, was shot dead in Compton, California, near the courts on which the sisters once practiced. Price was the Williams sisters' personal assistant. The Williams family issued this statement shortly after the death. "We are extremely shocked, saddened and devastated by the shooting death of our beloved Yetunde. She was our nucleus and our rock. She was a personal assistant, confidant, and advisor to her sisters. And her death leaves a void that can never be filled. Our grief is overwhelming, and this is the saddest day of our lives." On December 13, 2007, Williams received her associate degree in fashion design from the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. In 2011, Williams was forced to withdraw from the US Open before her second-round match, following a Sjogren's syndrome diagnosis. After the diagnosis, she adopted a vegan diet, as well as reducing her intake of calories and sugars, which helped get her back to match-winning fitness. In 2015, Williams received a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Indiana University East. Starting in 2011, she completed the degree through a reciprocal agreement between the university and the Women's Tennis Association, which allows athletes to play tennis professionally while studying online. Her ultimate goal is to get an MBA in the near future. Williams considers herself to be a Jehovah's Witness. Williams dated golfer Hank Keener, and was a visible presence from the time of Wimbledon 2007 until 2010. In 2012, Williams met Cuban model Elio Pais when he was hired as an underwear model for her clothing line and started dating until 2015. Williams dated publishing heir Nicholas Hammond for 2 years until 2019. On June 9, 2017, Williams was driving in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, when another car collided with her SUV before she cleared the intersection. an accident that killed a 78-year-old man and injured another person in the second vehicle. Police originally said she was at fault for the accident, but after reviewing surveillance video, they determined on July 7 that she had not caused it. On December 21, 2017, authorities determined that the accident occurred after Williams' vehicle was unlawfully cut off by an unidentified driver of a third vehicle, making a left turn in front of Williams. A nearby surveillance camera had recorded Williams lawfully entering the intersection. Authorities determined the accident was caused by the unidentified third driver, not Williams. Williams is the chief executive officer of her interior design firm V-Star Interiors, located in Jupiter, Florida. Her company designed the set of the Taya Smiley show on the public broadcasting service. The Olympic athletes' apartments as part of New York City's failed bid to host the 2012 Summer Olympics, and residences and businesses in the Palm Beach, Florida area. In 2001, Williams was named one of the 30 most powerful women in America by the Ladies' Home Journal. In 2007, Williams teamed with retailer Stephen Barry's to launch her own fashion line. 11. I love fashion and the idea that I am using my design education to actually create clothing and footwear that I will wear on and off the tennis court is a dream come true for me. The vision has been to create a collection that will allow women to enjoy an active lifestyle while remaining fashionable at the same time. I'm thrilled with everything we've created to launch 11. Williams' line. 11 made its debut at the 2012 New York Fashion Week. It was modeled by athletes as opposed to models, a choice made by Williams herself to feature the sort of people the line was designed for. She flaunts her vibrant outfits each time she steps on the court. In June 2009, Williams was named 77th in the top 100 most powerful celebrities compiled by Forbes magazine. In August 2009, Venus Williams and her sister Serena Williams became part owners of the Miami Dolphins. The announcement was made during a press conference overlooking the practice field. This made the sisters the first African-American women to obtain ownership in an NFL franchise. Stephen Monsieur Ross, the majority owner of the Dolphins, said, "We are thrilled to have Venus and Serena Williams join the Dolphins as limited partners. They are among the most admired athletes in the world and have become global ambassadors for the game of tennis. Their addition to our ownership group further reflects our commitment to connect with aggressively and embrace the great diversity that makes South Florida a multicultural game this year." In late June 2010, Williams released her first book, Come to Win, on how sports can help you top your profession, which she co-wrote with Kelly E. Carter. In promotion of the book, she embarked on a tour around America in support of the release, whilst also appearing on several talk shows, including The Early Show and Good Morning America. This gave her a place in the top 5 of the New York Times bestseller list. Recognition. In 2005, Tennis Magazine ranked her as the 25th best player in 40 years. In June 2011, she was named one of the 30 legends of women's tennis, past, present and future, by Time. In March 2012, Tennis Channel aired a television series 100 Greatest Tennis Players of All Time, where she was ranked as 22nd. During the program, Williams was complimented by rival Lindsay Davenport, with Davenport saying, "Venus had more power than any other player on tour." Equipment. In 1995, when Williams was 14 years old, she signed an endorsement deal with Reebok and wore the company's apparel and shoes. She used Wilson Hammer 6.2 stretch racket,